Today we're going to be going over some of the best fall fragrances that people around you are absolutely going to fall in love with. You know, there's something about these warmer, sweeter, more seductive scents that can really connect with people on a deeper level in a more impactful way. I'm not saying that fresh fragrances don't yield great compliments. A lot of them do. Typically, that's the safest route you can go, wearing freshies, aquatics, soapy, clean, musky scents. With those, you're typically going to appeal to a wider variety of people, which is great. But the reactions might not be as strong as what you might get out of some of these, where they're going to be a little bit more specific. Not everybody's going to connect with them, but the people that do usually really fall in love with them. That's kind of what's fun about these. You know, maybe when you start off collecting, you're into the freshies because they're easier. As you start to smell more things and to get deeper into the hobby, a lot of times you might shift and you might really start craving those heavier, stronger, more addicting scents. And that's just kind of the progression that a lot of people seem to go through. And so if you go with some of these, you know, you're really going to realize that some people just go crazy for this stuff. And really none of these are challenging either. I mean, we've got all designers in one niche and, you know, all of them are just super easy to pull off. But obviously we're going for sweeter scents for the cooler times of the year. Let's get things kicked off with Gentleman Reserve Privé. It's got whiskey, iris, and chestnut with some tonka bean in here too. And so they're just reworking that iris DNA, the vanilla tonka iris of the eau de parfum. They're adding in chestnut and whiskey for a boozy, more gourmand, and more heavy approach. You know, Gentleman eau de parfum has always been very easygoing, you know, with primarily the focus being on the vanilla. Quite a bit of iris to it, but the iris isn't as strong as something like Dior Homme Intense, even Valentino Uomo Intense. You know, they're really kind of doubling down on the vanilla, just making it the easiest to pull off of that group. And so you're still getting the same iris here, but just a nice different approach, which adding the whiskey and the chestnut gives it more substance. You know, it's not necessarily harder to pull off to the extreme that something like, you know, a Dior Homme Parfum could be, which is really taking things to the next level. This is not that far, but it does give you a little bit more variety. I think this is by far the best release in the line. And, you know, as soon as I smelled it, I had a pretty good feeling that it was going to become one of my favorites, and it definitely has. You know, it's been on discounters for a while now, and that price keeps on creeping its way down. I mean, it's getting to the point where it's not unreasonable. I mean, you can get this for under $100, and to me, that is incredible. It's great bang for your buck. Things aren't as affordable as they used to be, you know, back in the day, but to me, still anything under 100 for a good scent is just about par for the course. When you start getting into things that are, you know, 150 or so, even at discounters, that's just a whole different ball game. But this one, reasonably priced, great performer, great compliment. Next up, we have Armani Stronger with You Absolutely. By far the most popular in the line. Just a very popular scent in general, you know. It's something that everybody's trying to get their hands on, and most people have at this point. I think, you know, it's stabilized on discounters quite a bit to the point where most people who wanted to get a bottle have been able to do so if they wanted to. Again, this one's not cheap by any means. It's going to be typically a little bit over $100. Depending on where you're shopping, it could be $120, $115, something like that. But it's definitely stabilized. It used to be where it was just out of stock all the time. If you want to try this one first, we got samples up on our website, decantcenter.com. This is just one that people are still wanting to get their nose on, and if you don't want to pay that full bottle price, you don't have to. But this one also utilizes that chestnut note, which I love. A lot of tonka, a lot of sweet notes, kind of a very much modern style sweetness, whereas Gentleman Reserve Privé, not necessarily. It's a modern smelling scent, but this is using more of that, I don't know, new style, very sweet, common type of smell. And I don't mean that in a bad way, it's just true. I mean, that's an accurate representation of this and of a lot of scents that are being put out these days, or at least within the past few years. This is another great performer. It's another amazing compliment getter. Works well in fall and in wintertime. Next up, we have Hugo Boss The Scent Magnetic. Has a unique bran note. Bran, B-R-A-N, which is kind of a weedy type of smell is what I get out of it here. You get vetiver too, and then manica fruit. I think that's all they list off, and there is more to the story there. Like I do pick up on a very standardized powdery tonka bean smell, and definitely hints of like a vanilla pod in here too. But again, it is interesting. And the manica fruit, of course, definitely stands out. It usually does. When that note is used, you pick up on it. I always kind of describe it as similar to like a violet leaf or an oud, where when they actually include it in the scent composition, you can't miss it. Like it's a very distinct smell. Whereas other notes, you know, like types of woods and musks, they can hide a bit easier, but not manica fruit. It's pretty much front and center along with some of that vanilla, woods, bran, weedy type of smell as well. For me, it's something unique. Not full on, right? Because it still does share a lot of common ground with the rest of the line, which is pretty mainstream and has been around for a while, and there are a lot of flankers of it. But it does kind of branch off just enough to make it a bit more interesting. This is a great scent if you just want to stand out and have something that is kind of going against the grain a little bit at a reasonable price. I think $80 to $85 for this. Now, this next one's going to be really affordable, around $35, maybe $40. It's Ferragamo Uomo, coming in with just the original. I love Signature as well, and I go back and forth between the two. It just kind of is one of those things where some days I like this better, other days I like Signature better. It's as simple as that, because they're similar, but also have some key differences as well. Signature has leather and coffee. It actually makes it a little bit more masculine. This one's basically syrupy sweet all the way through, with a lot of tiramisu accords, which gives it kind of an edible dessert, caramelized, chocolatey smell. And the ambroxan, you pick up on that. It's kind of a weird combination because you got sweet notes and all of that stuff, and then ambroxan, right, which you typically see in fresh blues. But spray this one in the air, you know, and you pick up on that. Gives it a little bit of a musky, cooling freshness, which kind of butts right up against all of the sweet notes, the cardamom, the tonka, that tiramisu smell, caramelized smell. It's interesting, but it works really well. I have to say, this is a great scent. It's easy to overlook and just kind of move it to the side because, oh, it's, you know, borderline cheapy. It's an entry-level Ferragamo, right? The first in the line. It's the originator of the Uomo line, and it seems like in this day and age with flankers galore, the originals of fragrances oftentimes get forgotten, but this is one heck of a good release. You know, it would be a different story if you were paying 70 or 80 bucks on discounters for this, but I mean, it's a really good bargain price and a great scent, great performer, and an amazing compliment getter. This might not connect with everybody, but the people who do like it are really gonna love it. Speaking of new style sweetness, Invictus Victory Elixir. I will say, I love this one so much more than I thought I would originally. It's got incense, vanilla, and tonka bean. I mean, do you see the trend here? Vanilla, tonka bean, right? All of that good stuff. Also, the trend is the camera never wants to focus right, but there we go. So yeah, that's just kind of new style sweetness. You just take a look around and you see everybody's doing things like this, right? We're getting away from the citrus aromatics, have been for a while to be fair, and the freshies and stuff. And of course, Acqua di Gio still going strong, will for years, and a lot of other common fresh fragrance lines that will continue to flourish, right? But man, you take a look and you can just see a very obvious turn, a very obvious shift in direction for men's fragrances. They're not getting any more traditionally masculine smelling, that's for sure. But I like to try to change with the times as much as I can. And you know, I have been known to just not like things when they first come out, but then over a while, it's like, yeah, I'm starting to like that more, you know? And this one I never really disliked, so this would be a good example of that, but I try to stay as open-minded as I can, and I also try to kind of maintain the mindset that even if I don't like it on myself to where I would want to wear it, I could still see the value in it. This is one that I do like to wear, though. It is one that I definitely see the value in. It's an Elixir, so it's a great performing parfum. It, you know, on retail is expensive, but it's been working its way on discounters below $100 now as well. So a lot of these new expensive releases are coming down in price on discounters, which is a great thing to see. I recommend checking it out. Not everybody's cup of tea. And if you're someone who just doesn't like this type of thing, but you also just want to get insane compliments, if you can just kind of force yourself through wearing this, hey, it's going to do that for you. Some people think that's a horrible idea, right? And it, you know, why suffer all day just for that reason? But some people, that's all they want is compliments and to get noticed. And so, you know, this type of thing is going to do it for you. Armani Code Eau de Parfum. Man, this is a good one. Why is it so good? Well, because they're bringing back that Armani Code Profumo smell, which for some weird reason, they took away from us. It's beyond me because that was one of their best, but they did it anyway. So it's got a, gosh, it's so redundant, but a lot of tonka bean, this kind of fizzy root beer smell, a lot of amber too. Okay, that's essentially what this and what Code Profumo is in a nutshell. Now, they're not 100% exactly the same. I do find that this Code Eau de Parfum is a little bit fresher, but still, it definitely is more similar than not to Code Profumo. The other difference is going to be, this is obviously an Eau de Parfum, Code Profumo was a parfum. So I hate to see that they kind of downgraded the concentration here and the presentation. I do miss those old bottles, but downgraded the concentration a little bit. But this is still a fine performer. Not quite as strong, but still more than what you need, really. A lot of you guys out there have Code Profumo. A lot of you have big collections where you know your bottle that you have, or maybe a backup or two, will last you forever, and you don't need this. But a lot of people who are just getting into the game, or maybe you just didn't get Code Profumo when it was available, and now you're just kind of upset. You're wishing you would have gotten it. You don't have to sweat it anymore. Get this, and it's going to get you very close. This is another one that we carry right now over on discontinued.com. You can try a sample of it for a fraction of the cost of buying a full bottle. See if it's something that you like or not. We offer free shipping over $49, free sample with every order, a great rewards program as well. So make sure you go check us out. You can save a lot of money if you just want to try before you buy. Last up for this one, we have Killian Angel's Share. It's got cognac, cinnamon, and oak, which is a really beautiful combination. I love this brand of Killian Paris. It used to be, well, I guess it still is by Killian on this bottle, but I'm pretty sure they were trying to get away from that and going to Killian Paris. I don't know, maybe not, but the brand of this, Killian, I love it because they do gourmands like nobody else. Whenever I think of wearing a gourmand scent for the day, or whenever I think of what are some of my favorite gourmands, they're pretty much all going to be by Killian's. And so when I'm in the mood for that, that's just kind of my go-to. And again, they're a niche brand, but they're not as insane as some others. And so it's another one of those things where if you're really passionate about this style of perfumery, the investment is worth it. And this one here is, I mean, it's probably one of their most popular scents right now. This stuff just went crazy. I mean, look at how many reviews on FRAGRANCEBUY.CA. Like, I think I was looking before this, something like 13,000 reviews, and it's a really good star rating. That's a ton, right? For a niche product that's expensive and still relatively new, at least within the past couple of years. You know, it's not a Creed Aventus 2010 release or something like that. I mean, this stuff is doing really well. And there are a few clones out there as well. You know, Latafa Camera kind of gets you in that ballpark, and there's quite a few more. So there are plenty of options if you don't want to pay for the full actual bottle. But yeah, it's a sweet, woody, boozy gourmand. Emphasis on sweet. So make sure you keep that in mind. This is another one where a lot of people will smell this and be like, what's all the hype about? I don't get it, right? And that's the crazy thing about this hobby is there's so many differing opinions, you know? So this would be definitely something to be cautious about blind buying, but should be something that you at least get your nose on at some point, whether buying a clone, trying a sample somewhere. It's worth knowing what it smells like. And if you do end up liking it, that's great because it's a big compliment puller and it's a good performer as well. Alrighty guys, that's going to do it for me. Some fantastic fall fragrances that everybody will go crazy for. I'm going to link all these down below. If you're looking for full bottles, check out the links. We'll take you there. All going to be through discounters so you can save money. I've got a mailing list you can sign up to. So anytime something rare, discontinued, or hard to find comes into stock, I send out an email and a text allowing you the opportunity to buy that item before it sells out. Whatever rare or discontinued fragrance you could think of, and I'm searching for that, and a lot of times those pop up, but they just sell quick. I'll get you notified when they do. And finally, discontinued.com if you're wanting to try before you buy. We're adding and updating our inventory on a daily basis. So if you don't see what you're looking for right now, keep on checking back in the future, and we're going to try to have one of the biggest selections around. We've already got some of the best prices around, really strong rewards if you're going to be coming back and shopping with us. Free shipping in the US over $49. Free sample with every order. Nice seamless shopping experience from browsing to adding to cart to checking out. We're getting rid of all the junk and fluff and pop-ups and annoying stuff. I just want it to be easy for people to try things, right? Because this hobby is not getting any cheaper. That's going to do it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.